War has broken out in the Middle East. There is chaos, and the chaos seems to be spreading. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Sign up for my free newsletter and links to the guests in the description below. And then we might talk about pork pies a bit later on, Alex.
Okay.
Morning, Alex. Monday the 2nd of March. I think on Friday, the United States and Israel started bombing Iran. And since then, Iran has retaliated by bombing Israel and many other Middle East nations. On Sunday afternoon, I think Britain said, okay, you can use Diego Garcia, and they got involved. France is involved. And you've been saying for a while you didn't think this was going to happen because of the chaos that would ensue.
Yeah, exactly. This would be my didn't tell you so moment. I have to say, I'm dumbfounded. I'm gutted. This, I think, from Trump was a massive, colossal blunder, but potentially a fatal blunder for everything else that he thought or that he was going to accomplish. And, you know, one of the things that I was very encouraged about, among other things, was, you know, he reached out to the Russians, he reached out to the Chinese. He and other members of his administration declared themselves that the post-World War II global order was finished, that the United States was embracing multipolar integrations. He went to the Middle East and delivered a really good speech, a really encouraging speech. And he's been able to avoid going to war on a number of occasions. And so I thought that he genuinely didn't want to go to war against Iran. And now look where we are. All at once and out of nowhere, he's flanked by Germany, France, Britain, and Israel. The post-World War II global order alliance galore, you know. He made himself the commander-in-chief of the Death Star. And he's done it in a way that I can't think of a way that could be worse than the way he has done it. And why to me it doesn't even compute why. What could possibly be the rationale? What was going to be your gain? What was going to be your gain? My chart doesn't even go up to how dumb this is, which is why I always, you know, I've been always saying this is so staggeringly dumb. I can't believe anybody's that dumb to do something like this, which is why I expect that he won't do it. Well, he did it. And you know how they say, you shall know them by their fruits. You'll know them by their deeds. He has done this. There's no undo. There's no, this will never wash. Not only that, the whole world is watching. You know, if you were going to embrace these multilateral, multipolar integrations in the world, your partners were Russia and China primarily, but then also Iran and other regional powers. And now you've shown yourself in front of all of them to be a lawless rogue, a man who really truly deals in bad faith. And, I don't understand the killing of Iran's supreme leader. I don't understand that. What did you killed a man and his family on a gamble that Iranian people are going to topple the government and welcome you with red carpet and flowers. You didn't know that that was going to happen. You gambled. But this gamble is a fatal error that will probably undo everything else you were trying to do, because you broke international law, so you're going to get impeached if you lose the White House, if the Congress. And then think further. If the Democrats come back to strength in the United States, all of those things, World Health Organization, the digital currency, digital IDs, LGBT ideology, transitioning kids from one gender to another, all of these things could come back with a vengeance. Censorship. So I think that he squandered a great opportunity. He had an extremely strong popular mandate. I can't even begin to comprehend what he was trying to do to jeopardize all this, because he jeopardized all of it. His relationship with Russia, his relationship with China. He's straight back in the alliance with the Epstein people, Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, Friedrich Merz. And at this point, I don't know that he has a choice. I don't know that he has a choice to tell them, stay away, keep back. This is not your. He now has to grasp at any straw that comes his way. And so we're right back to the grand alliance of the colonialist European powers, which means that potentially the world fractures into two blocks. It's going to be the BRICS bloc, and it's going to be the grand Western alliance of imperialistic colonialist powers. And we're on the wrong side of that divide. So it's not looking good at this moment.
Yep. No, Alex, I follow you on X, and I've seen your posts, and I share your views. I was thrown like, what is going on here? I did suspect he was going to do it for a few weeks now. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now I'm going to present some counter arguments, and I'm planning to later on today record with Tom Luongo from Gold Goats and Guns. You may have heard of him, Alex.
It rings a bell, the name.
It rings a bell. Well, people should subscribe and do all that business, right? And find out what he has to say. There is an argument out there. I'm not saying I subscribe to this, that this is actually an assault on the city of London, once again. And it goes back to Britain's ties to the oil supply in Iran, going back to 1908, when they discovered oil in Iran. And I forget the name of the company. That company eventually became BP. And then Mossadegh came along, nationalized the oil companies. I mean, Britain was making a lot of money from the oil in Iran until Mossadegh nationalized it, replaced by the Shah. I think BP moved back in again, but he was a satrap a puppet for the West.
Yes.
Then the CIA supported, this is what I've heard. I don't know how accurate this is, because there's so much stuff out there, right? The CIA were involved in replacing the Shah because the Shah was making anti-Israel noises, replaced it with the Ayatollah's regime, and slowly in the background, that whole regime got captured. It's not a like a whole coherent entity. There's many factions, and it supplies a lot of money to Hamas, Hezbollah, the sort of British proxy terrorist networks. And the assault
Wait,
on
wait, wait.
Iran.
You can't,
Hold on,
Rich.
Alex.
You can't put Hamas, Hezbollah, and British proxies in the same sentence. That doesn't make
Well,
sense.
well, Hamas was set up by Israel and funded by
Sure,
Qatar, right?
sure,
So,
sure, sure.
uh,
That's yeah, but that
so I
doesn't mean
don't.
that they still control those entities
Sure, but in
because
terms of the
they're clearly enemies. You know, there's no, you know, you can't go back 20 years and say, ah, yes, these people are still joined at the hip, so therefore destroying Hamas is a strike against the city of London. Not everything. I don't know that everything that happens in the world is a strike against the city of London, because how long did it take for Keir Starmer to join the war against Iran?
he didn't join straight away. That for me is a tell, because in every single Middle East misadventure, ever since I've been an adult, the UK has been right in from the start, gung ho. And that was something I was wondering about last year. Let me go back to the Hamas Hezbollah point. Yeah, they may not be British proxies like directly, but it's part of the whole gang counter gang. It just keeps conflict going. And they do it through many different layers. So it's all obscured, because it wouldn't serve the Iranian regime for it to be out. Well, actually, they're actually working with or supported by the City of London in some way, right? Then the fact that last year in the 12-day war, Britain was in right from the start. It had no compunction about joining in, bombing Yemen, supporting Israel to kill Palestinians. Keir Starmer's not a moral man. He didn't take part straight away because he's concerned about the Muslim vote, because otherwise he wouldn't be arresting 80-year-olds for holding up signs, blind 80-year-old people, right? So the fact that they delayed, to me, could that be because they actually don't want this to happen? They're not in on this because it could bring about stability. Because the other thing that it does, it takes away Israel's enemy. And then Trump posted something yesterday that it's going to be the timeline is 4 weeks, and I'm thinking to myself, Israel's not going to survive 4 weeks. It's not going to survive 4 weeks. It's going to get destroyed. Now, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just speculating, and it would be consistent with the other major actions that Trump has taken. The actions against the drug cartels in Mexico, with regards to Venezuela, with regards to what he's doing with Ukraine and Russia, with SOFA, LIBOR, the American system, the remanufacturing of the United States. So I'm speculating here that he's still out, and then there are people like Tom Luongo and Ian Burlingame, who'll be on later this week as well, who are saying that this is what it is. Now, I haven't dug in.
Um, okay, so I would be willing to entertain all that in a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm.
So the notion that the Iranians are proxies of the City of London, I would need to see some evidence of that, to just
Yeah.
say it like this because, at some point in the British and the Iranians, the relationship has been intertwined for a very long time. But in 2019, it was the British who were absolutely gung-ho for Trump to go and kill Iran for them. They were the ones lobbying behind the scenes to push Trump to war against Iran. And then Trump said no. And then we had the whole scandal with Sir Kim Derrick when Anonymous leaked his cables, and he was livid with Trump because he didn't go and bomb Iran. And then the British had to recall Sir Kim Derrick and nominate a different ambassador, that was all British. They, so, the idea that somehow in the background, in some deep analysis, the Iranian regime is a proxy of the city of London, I don't see it. If there were evidence for it, then fine.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way I did entertain this idea is that I thought, like, maybe Trump wants to be rid of Israel, and that I can understand. Israel complicates everything. Israel complicates everything to the nth degree, because even if Trump wanted to destroy Iran for them, got enmeshed in that war and all the consequences that are coming his way now, that wouldn't be the end of it. It's not like everybody would go back to being normal countries again, because Israel will then take on Turkey or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia. Israel will never stop. And the extra complication is that they have nukes. So I've been observing how somehow, allegedly, the Iranians got a hold of one of American bunker busting bombs, some special technology that drops to 60 feet or 60 meters, I forget, underground and then detonates. So it's apparently enormously powerful in destroying deep underground facilities. And then also somehow the Iranians got into possession of precise drawings and images and satellite pictures of Israeli nuclear facilities. So I thought that was interesting. And then the whole failure of Starlink in Iran, I thought, well, okay, so maybe there's no question that Iranians are very sophisticated technologically. And it's possible, as many people said, that the Chinese helped them with it or the Russians helped them with it, because they have a lot of experience with Starlink in Ukraine. So they'll have some know-how. But it's also possible that Starlink was disabled at source, A lot of pointers that maybe Trump wants to be rid of Israel, although he cannot say it overtly. And then, maybe I thought maybe he'll trigger a war and then let Iran do the work. And they will not stop. They'll wipe Israel off the map. So I thought maybe that's the cunning plan. It could be. But why did you kill the supreme leader? Why did you kill Mahmoud Ahmadinejad? You see, the way he has done it, and then I have to also say, maybe it's the people around him. The CENTCOM is where the strategy is formulated and executed and controlled, right? But you're the commander in chief. You have to understand that if you give a green light, that all of that shit might happen. And it's not like it didn't happen before. It happened twice before. When you negotiate supposedly in good faith, people come around to discuss your terms and see how they will respond. And at that moment, you kill them all. It's happened twice before. This was the third time. And so in the eyes of the whole world, he's a lawless rogue, a bad faith player. Yeah. So now it doesn't matter if 0.1% of 1% have a different theory about this. You've turned the whole world around against you. You've empowered your enemies. You've empowered your political rivals. You've broken the law of war. You've broken your domestic laws by not even going to Congress to inform them, let alone seek declaration of war. So you made yourself wide open to impeachment, and this time with merit, with substance. You made yourself extremely vulnerable. And then ask yourself this: so Israel, Great Britain, Western alliance in general have been daydreaming about regime changing Iran for how long now? 40 years?
1979.
There you go. Have you noticed that they have been pressuring Trump full court to go to war against Iran? Have you also noticed that they never pressured Biden? That they never pressured Obama? Clinton, Bush 43, Obama, Biden, they never did this. And you know why? Because everybody knows that it's a political suicide. So there was no pressure on Biden administration to go to war against Iran. There was no pressure on Obama administration to go to war against Iran. It's only Trump. Do you realize? And why? Because you get to kill two flies with one stone. You get a regime change in Iran, and you get rid of Trump. And he played right into it. I mean, a lot of people say he's not sophisticated, he doesn't listen, he doesn't read, he doesn't have the depth. And I thought, yeah, maybe, but he has advisors. And then, he can't be that dumb. He's got to have he's got to have street smarts to understand they're drawing me into a massive trap. They want me to fail. And then he does walk into that trap.
Yeah. Well, Alex, one, you and I are both of the opinion that he's a smart player. And then he has smart players with him, like Tulsi Gabbard and JD Vance. And he has said in the past he spoke out against the Iraq war. He spoke out against war generally. He said it would be a mistake to attack Iran in the past, right? So on the one hand, it could be the neocon factions within his administration out to destroy him, to kill two birds with one stone. The other thing is why perhaps the previous presidents didn't go for it, for attacking Iran. One, because it would be an absolute mess, because Iran is not Iraq. It's a very powerful country. But also because it keeps in place gang versus counter gang. And Iran could be an unwilling and unwitting proxy of the city of London, just by being hostile to Israel of its own accord is enough. And the other thing I want to remind you is that Germany, France, Britain, the mainstream media in the UK certainly, and I think the Democrats as well, weren't in on this from the beginning. They were condemning Trump for doing this. If they were out to impeach him, they're like, we're going to impeach him. They'd be like, okay, great, we can now impeach him. No, they condemned him. And maybe something happened in the background. Something switched. That, okay, we're going to have to ride this.
Did they condemn him, Rich, or did they just say that they would not let him use their air bases and their air?
Well, Starmer's not going to condemn Trump because he's such a mealy-mouthed weasel.
Yeah.
But the British press did, and the Democrats did. And
yeah, but this is that's not exceptional. They always do this. They always push the United States to expose themselves, to gain the most visible role in any conflict, and then they always join in. And you have to understand that these people are extremely clever. They are, they do their foreign policy with an eye on how the history is going to be written. And the history will be written, we have joined our erstwhile ally in, liberating the Iranian people, but they led the way. Trump led the way. So if anything goes wrong, Trump gets thrown under the bus. And mistakes were made, lessons were learned, but like Prince Andrew, they did it out of how did he put it? Because we're too honorable. We're too honorable. We had to come support our ally because we and the Americans were like this. That's what they're doing, to my mind, anyway. And then there's another thing. Again, they killed Iran's supreme leader and his whole family. No. Trump and his administration pushed the British out of Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is, they disenfranchised them. They took over without dropping any bombs on anybody or killing any leaders or their families. They didn't blow up Bosnia's female volleyball team or 150 girls in a girl for school. Not an accident. Not an accident. If you can precisely drop a bomb into a meeting of the supreme leader and other government officials who are discussing your proposal, then you didn't bomb the girls' school by mistake. I don't accept it. Mm-hmm. And even if you did, that's one of the potential consequences you unleashed by taking this step. The Brits the Americans kicked the Brits out of Syria, or disenfranchised them from Syria. They took Ahmad Shara and said, "You're our bitch now, and you'll do what we said." Yeah. So they didn't need to kill anybody. Here you killed Iran's supreme leader during supposedly good faith negotiations. It didn't need to be done this way, but they did it this way anyway. Yeah. So whatever clever theory might, whatever dots could be connected to come with alternative explanations, this is what most of the world sees. Yeah. And now it's gone kinetic, now it's, and I have to say this also, Rich. I watched, to my horror, Trump's speech about going to war against Iran. And I did think, well, it's kind of strange that his face is covered, that he has baseball hat so low that you can't really see his eyes. It is strange that the camera was quite far, that his figure was very small. And it is possible that something has gone deeply wrong. Like at the very same time as there's the Jim Carrey switcheroo, maybe they switched out Donald Trump. I don't know. But still, the reality on the ground now is that we have the beginning of a polarization in world affairs where the United States is going to get pulled back into the post-World War II alliance, which is exactly the opposite of what Trump was trying to accomplish, or at least declared that he was trying to accomplish. And I don't know when the next opportunity gets. Is it going to have to be when Thomas Massie wins the White House, or I don't know who? I'm, I see this as a tragically missed opportunity.
A tragic mistake. And it's not, I don't know, Alex. That's it. I don't know. I don't like you. I don't like it, which is why I recommend people in the UK.
You don't like me?
No.
Very sorry.
Oh, it's all over, isn't it? There's a conflict broken out between you and I. Yeah. One misstep and you found out how I really feel about you.
Yeah, but think about this. you tell me you don't like me, and I say, well, we can negotiate. And I say, here's my proposal. And then you take my proposal and you say, I'm going to study it. And then I pull out a gun and shoot you. It's not right.
Yes, yes, it's not
You
right.
wouldn't like me to shoot you, right?
I wouldn't like you to. I'd like you even less if you did. As it is, I do like you very, very much, and I appreciate you coming on. What I was going to say, and actually what I did say is, I don't like this. You miss what's going on. You misrepresented me, and now I don't like you for misrepresenting me, Alex. Right? But this is one of the reasons why I do encourage people in Britain to go to notaxforwar.com, because we can legally, lawfully, peacefully withhold our taxes from the local and central government as a protest against war, because our government is now involved in an illegal war, illegal, immoral war. Now, I'm always looking to see, and I think like you with you as well, Alex, you do this as well. What's going on? What's going on? What, and not accepting the already easily available interpretations, like
Well,
and
yes,
seeing how it
clearly we have
fits,
to
right?
do that because we are, we're in the middle of a hailstorm of psyops. I
Yeah,
mean, misinformation is coming from all sides. So I think it's extremely important to be mindful of the patterns of the past, to understand where the fault lines lie, in the conflict between the two systems. If you understand where the fault lines are, then it's easier to interpret events. But I think that Trump, regardless of how you turn it, Trump blundered. Now he's flanked by his enemies. His enemies joined in his war party. And here's why I say I don't think he has a choice. Because the media, who is his biggest enemy, are going to use this to no end to celebrate the alliance of the good guys joining together to tackle evil. These stories are going to be propagated in the media. It's going to again give, material for Hollywood movies. I mean, this is not a small thing. You went to war against Iran, and the Brits and the French crashed your party, and you can't undo any of it. It was regardless of what Trump's true intentions ever were, this was such a blunder that it doesn't even matter what the intentions are or what the calculus is, because this is what the whole world sees. And this is what Trump's enemies are going to capitalize on, because they are really, really good at it. They were waiting for him to make this mistake. And they have all kinds of arsenal arrayed against him. And they will tear him to shreds. I mean, this came out, and I don't know if it's true, but it came from, I think, Alistair Crook, who is a very astute, very reliable analyst of these things. And he said that, Trump was reassured that this is going to be a quick thing. They're going to do a decapitation strike, and then, everything's going to have a happy ending from there. And it was apparently Benjamin Netanyahu who was promising him that this was going to be a quick affair. So now, if that's true, then I don't even know how to measure how colossally stupid that was, that you relied on Benjamin Netanyahu's promise. And Benjamin Netanyahu is your enemy, and you know it. I know that Trump knows that Benjamin Netanyahu is his enemy. I mean, do we have to go back a year ago when Trump posted on Truth Social a clip of Jeffrey Sachs saying that Benjamin Netanyahu is a deep, dark son of a bitch, and now you actually went along with him? because he reassured you that this was going to be a quick thing and you believed whatever. And then I'll say another thing, which is karmically very wrong. He killed Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader. And then he went in front of the cameras to say that this was one of the most evil people in history. You know, words matter a great deal. And you not only committed a sin of killing a civilian leader, a non-combatant, you then went and smeared his name in front of the whole world. That's two very grave wrongs that he committed. And again, I don't know. Maybe it's the Jim Carrey actor. I don't, like we have AI now, which can perfectly mimic Trump's voice. And his face was, I have to keep an open mind that something maybe went wrong at a far deeper level than we know. But this is what's going on now. And the United States has been pulled into a commitment they cannot undo, and it is exactly the opposite what the American people voted for.
Yep. Alex, thank you so much. You and I will talk further about this because we're due to record with Tom this week, and also you and I with Harley as well, Harley Schlanger from LaRouche. See how that goes. Really, really appreciate you coming on. And let us know in the comments, is this a massive, massive blunder? Has Trump been captured? Or is it all part of his project to get the US out from under the thumb or the heel of the City of London? This is Rich and Alex signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.